If there is a breakup, who will Micah choose? I am Chris with the Joshi Wrestling Recap for Stardom March 20th, 2022, available on Stardom World. This was a good show by Stardom, but they rarely put on bad ones, and I will spoil something up front. There were no time limit draws. Let's see how long Rossi, the booker of Stardom, can help himself from having matches end in draws. This show also saw the tension between Shuri and Julia go up, while also having the tension between Julia and Tam go up. Julie is currently infused with Cosmic Angels, Prominence, and Shuri. She may have too much on her plate, but the build-up to the big Stardom shows on the 26th and 27th continues. This was a multi-camera show with no commentary. We opened with a quick singles match between the newly returned Saya Ida versus Waka Tsukiyama. Over the last couple weeks, Waka has been changing. She's less bopply and more serious since the Mei Sakurai defection, and she brought that new attitude into this match. Saya Ida's strength advantage was too much for Waka Tsukiyama to handle for a large portion of this match. Even with her new attitude, Saya Ida kept Waka in check with headlocks, chops, shoulder tackles, and lariats. When Waka Tsukiyama used her less orthodox moves, she was able to confuse Ida and get some offense in, like when she calls for her opponents to come at her and she jumps through the ropes to trip them. But Saya Ida is both more experienced and stronger than Waka, so it was only a matter of time. After hitting two big lariats, Saya Ida put the match away with a Northern Light suplex with the bridge for the 3-counted victory. The next match was a tag match between Donald Del Mondo and Orotai. Tekla and Mai Sakurai for Donald Del Mondo, with Rina and Saki Kashima for Orotai. There aren't really any stories between these two teams currently, it was just a tag match. Before the match, Rina called Tekla and Mai old hags, but she calls anyone over 25 an old hag, so that isn't surprising. Rina and Mai Sakurai started for their teams, but pretty quickly Saki Kashima came into the ring to help Rina beat up Mai. This enabled Orotai to isolate Mai Sakurai for a long time. Many boosts to Mei's face and hair pulling ensued. It wasn't until Mai Sakurai hit a well-timed dropkick she was able to tag into Tekla. After Tekla came in, the match was a bit more back and forth of a contest. Tekla brought out a couple of her signature moves like the spider walk into a spear and submissions. It looked like Rina was in trouble, so Saki came in to help, but it was only a temporary solution. Tekla peppered Rina with kicks to the body and head, then hit the Dokugumu death drop for the 3-counted victory. The third match on the card was a fun trios match, and the second battle between Orotai and Donald Del Mondo on the card. Starlight Kid, Ruaka, and Momo Watanabe versus Natsupoi, Himeka, and Mirai. While Donald Del Mondo is a strong faction, they don't have the team chemistry that Orotai, and that was the difference in this match. We started with Himeka and Uruaka trading shoulder tackles. Himeka soon tagged in Mirai, but Uruaka hit a crossbody, and Orotai dragged everyone to the outside and proceeded to throw Donald Del Mondo members into ring posts, and Uruaka bonked both Natsupoi and Himeka with her box before the match made its way back into the ring. When left alone to battle one-on-one, Donald Del Mondo had the advantage, but Orotai would come in and use gang tactics to regain the advantage. Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid pulled out a new move, maybe their tag team finisher. It started with Natsupoi being held up by Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe, then Starlight Kid flips over Natsupoi while Momo Watanabe slams her at the same time. It looked impressive. After that, the match ended pretty quickly when Starlight Kid hit the Black Tiger Diver on Natsupoi for the pinfall victory. It did surprise me that Natsupoi took the pin. Maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but Starlight Kid is fighting Kairi soon, and Natsupoi seems to have a connection to Kairi, so maybe there will be a future program between them that doesn't involve the high-speed belt. The next match was a fun, action-packed, and sometimes chaotic match between Stars and Queen's Quest. For Stars, we had Miyu Iwatani, Kaguma, Momo Kogo, Hazuki, and Hanan. Queen's Quest is Utami Hayashishida, Sai Kamatani, Azumi, Lady C, and Miyu Amasaki. Watching this match, I came to the realization that Stars in faction versus faction matches fight a lot like Orotai, just the babyface version with no weapons. I dub it the Stars Swarm. Lots of ganging up on their opponents, lots of tags, trying to isolate the weakest member of the other team, combo-based moves, and quick action. The best example of the Stars Swarm is the first 5 minutes of this match. Hanan and new roster member Miyu Amasaki started, but pretty quickly the Stars Swarms happened. Stars members beat up on Miyu in waves. One would come in, beat her up, tag, and the cycle would continue. This section of the match felt like a welcome to Stardom hazing by Stars. After a while, Miyu Umasaki was finally able to tag out and didn't come back into the match after that. The rest of the match was filled with fast action by both teams. There were dives to the outside by Sai Kamitani and Miyu Iwatani. Kaguma got the Kuma clutch on Utami Hayashishita and also had a quick high-speed section against Izumi. The Star Swarm was activated later in the match against Lady C. Queen's Quest did come into the match in force during this period, and there was chaos in the ring. A Topa Suicida by Miyu Iwatani dealt with the rest of Queen's Quest on the outside, and back in the ring, Miyu Iwatani hit the top corner splash, followed by a top corner moonsault, and Stars got the victory over Lady C. That brings us to the main event, a very good match between Donald Del Mondo and Cosmic Angels, Shuri, Julia, and Maika versus Tam Nakano, Unagi Sayaka, and Mina Shirakawa. This match is what I have wanted in the Julia versus Cosmic Angels feud. Previous matches have felt more subdued, but Tam Nakano and Julia brought it this match. Before the match, during their backstage promo, Donald Del Mondo said it had been a while since the original 3 members of Donald Del Mondo had been a trios, and they all have things to say after the match, while Cosmic Angels did their dance like normal. It is a bit hard to break down the structure of this match. Both teams had the advantage for parts, and it was pretty back and forth. If there was one through line, it would probably be that Shuri seemed to have Cosmic Angel's number, and any advantage Cosmic Angels had in the match was removed when Shuri was in. There is one section of the match I do want to highlight. I mentioned that Tam Nakano and Julia brought it, and this section is what I meant. Julia and Tam's aggression against each other came out, and they proceeded to slap each other's faces off. But Julia should know better than getting into a slap fight with Tam, and came out on the losing end of that exchange. The end of the match saw an extended section of Mina Shirakawa trying to take down Shuri. Mina was very good in this section of the match, and I was impressed with her expressions when she was trying to get it out of Shuri's submissions. But Mina couldn't hold off forever, and when Shuri got her Bayako submission on Mina Shirakawa, Mina had to tap or get her shoulder dislocated. After the match, after the bell, Julia and Shuri said they liked being on the same team, but the next day's tag match may be the last time they tag together, depending on what happens during their red belt match on the 26th. Maika took a neutral stance and said she would be fine with whatever happens. If Donald Del Mondo does explode on the 26th, Maika's allegiance has not been determined. Overall, this was a good show, and I liked the final 3 matches, but the main event was the most important match on the card for future stories, so I would recommend you check that one out. The next Stardom show is on the 21st, and we'll have an SWA title match between Thekla and Ruaka, and maybe the final match of Julia and Shuri as a tag team. This has been the Joshi Wrestling Recap for Stardom March 20th, 2022. Thanks for listening.